there's something soul deep that happens between one person and another person, one person and an object, one person and a piece of food, and that happens here.
When they come here, you have to rub elbows. You have to be close.
If you go to a grocery store, I mean, you don't get to talk to anybody, basically. You just buy your things and you walk away.
But when you come to this market and you find out that people really do care. God bless you. Isn't that wonderful?
Whenever you have owner-operated businesses, and the owners of the business, there on a daily basis, it's the relationship and the bond that you form with your customers is unavoidable.
It's the people on the hill, the people themselves, which is part of the family. This is a family to us, our life.
I've known people in the community all my life. Little children that come in, I've seen them grow up.
The minute I step to the Capitol Hill, I have the most beautiful days in my life and the most beautiful people I know in my life.
People feel they become part of the market.
A lot of people that are long-term customers, they know us by name.
Very few institutions like this left in the country, and what it's all about is personal service.
It's the interaction among the people, the merchants that work at the market, the outdoor vendors, the people who are at the flea market. It's the total experience that attracts people.
Many of us live in Capitol Hill because we love the architecture. We feel comfortable in old buildings, so the market epitomizes our interest, and we just feel at home there.
There are people who come here to just be here. They don't necessarily want to buy anything. They don't necessarily, sometimes they don't even necessarily want to engage. There is something that just exists in the atmosphere.
The Eastern Market is one of those entities that supports community congregation.
I think the Eastern Market is the focal point of our community life right now in our neighborhood, and has been for as long as I've lived here.
It's really a gem for all of us and a treasure for our neighborhood. Now, of course, it's become nationally and internationally known, but it's always been our special place.
I got the call at like 5 a.m. that the Eastern Market had burnt.
The first thing was denial.
Okay, what, a garbage can got set on fire?
I thought small fire was happening at the market.
Roy says, Mel, you got to come down here. I thought it was a joke. And he says, like, Mel, you got to come down here right now.
And then when I came in, the fire department is blocked the whole block.
Denial got shifted pretty quickly to, to anger. I was upset about it. I wanted to talk to someone on the scene because maybe someone would tell me on the scene that it wasn't that bad.
The vendors were out there, wringing their hands and probably crying, or at least crying inside.
Can't believe it. We were standing here watching it burn.
And we all crying and we all hug together. And the first people we have it, the neighbors and the mayor, he was there.
I saw my brothers and some other people from the market and neighborhood. The whole neighborhood was basically outside.
To see the look on their face, to see them run to me, to grab me, and squeeze myself and my son and my wife, and to say that, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What are we gonna do?
And I said, oh, I might as well feel like committed suicide because all my work is there and all gone.
It was real. It was a tragedy. That day was the saddest day in the last 26 that I've been in the market.
All the wind just came out of me, man. I just saw it and just, still looked at it and almost in a state of disbelief. Just didn't want it to be true. So when I first went in, of course the smell, just the burnt, the smoke smell was just devastating.
The odor was strong for many blocks around there.
The impressions when you walked through that day was just of total obliteration. It looked like some kind of a bomb had gone off in what had, the day before been a really active, clean facility.
Some of the clogs that melt to the wall. Whoa.
The heat, I guess, was so intense that the rubberized material of the menu board itself just started melting. And this is where it dropped onto this unit.
The most extraordinary thing was to see the daylight coming down through the roof and a lot of light inside the building in what otherwise had been usually pretty dark.
The ceiling opened up with light coming through and still all the water just dripping everywhere. Just a total mess.
I know that the vendors, the merchants tried to come in. There was hardly anything they could salvage. Everything was so wet, so smoke-laden, so dirty that there was no reason to even pick it up.
The blackened windows, the smashed out glass, it was in many ways symbolic of everything, every worst fear you'd have of what could become of an old building. What does this mean when Eastern Market's on fire? What symbolically does it mean?
For the moment, I thought it was the end of an era. I thought it was the end of Eastern Market.
You're in limbo. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if anybody's going to fix it. You don't know what you're going to do for a living. You don't. It was devastating. I don't get devastated that easily. It was devastating.
What do you do next? What do you do next?
You make adjustment with what the situation you have. Fire and whatever causes, you don't worry about it anymore. How to survive after the fire, that's the most important thing.
By mid-afternoon, the city had already stepped forward, man. I mean, Mayor Fenty was there. He gave his speech, man. He said, hey, we're gonna get this thing straightened out as quickly as possible.
The next day, we were invited to be part of a conversation with everyone in the city, it seemed, all the leadership, and it was headed by Dan Tagliarini, the city administrator, and he was leading the call, and he was going through and making decisions about how we were going to rebuild.
The fear was it was going to look boarded up. Someone came up with the idea, someone mentioned to me, we should do some art on the windows. I thought it was really important to reach out to the arts and humanities folks and say, let's do that. That's a great idea. We should take that citizens' idea and we should make it at least look less sinister. We started working on cleanup, funding a replacement, and figuring out a strategy for an immediate temporary market.
Because of my experience in architecture and construction and knowing the severity of the fire, the thought of getting them back into business, I thought it could be 6 months, 10 months, 18 months. I had no idea. I knew it would be a very long period of time. And it turned out that within about 3 months, the temporary, or what's called the East Hall, had been constructed, so that they could get back almost to normal in a really, really short time.
We were all in agreement that the key to the market was the people who work there. We needed to do something for them to make sure that they wouldn't disappear.
The Capitol Hill Community Foundation stepped right up to the plate. They made themselves the entity to collect donations and to be responsible for, how that all worked out.
8-10 hours after the fire, this fund was set up. I agreed to be the chairman of it, and it's probably the easiest job I've ever had.
We were standing there taking checks and cash as fast as we could. Lindsay Silver designed the t-shirt. She's a graphic designer, lives here in the community. The iconic black t-shirt, the Rebuild Eastern Market one. We went on and printed and sold many thousands of those t-shirts.
We did our best to advertise. We used the Eastern Market Community Advisory Committee, MCAC, for a lot of guidance on how to be sure that we do this right. With the mayor's support, I asked my colleagues for $20 million, and it passed with no debate. So we had the funds, and we certainly had the will.
They gave us funds to keep this thing going. They gave us funds to pay our help during those tough times.
You can't compare it to anything. I mean, these people here have taken care of me in different ways that, I can't ever thank them.
Quinn Evans was hired in the summer of 2005 to do the rehabilitation and restoration of the market.
The ingredient of that was to leave the market fully operating throughout a construction project. And we were preparing the drawings and the specifications for that kind of a project.
We had completed the 90% construction drawings actually on April 13th of 2009.
When we had the severe fire. So from that point, a project of a completely different nature could be considered, and that is doing a rehabilitation with an empty building, and obviously the scope greatly increased.
The permanent solution was going to be to rebuild the market, not only as it was, but really as we always wanted it to be.
We had a rather high-tech analysis for this using a laser scanning device. We compared a laser scan after the fire to the scan before, and then it was clear that many of these iron beams had very severely deformed.
We were finally able to get up and access all of the framing that was around the ridge, and it was very clear from the way that was built, it was designed to hold glass. We designed a modern skylight, but the same proportions of what was there before.
When you go into the hall and see the quality of light we're getting from that long shaft of skylight, we're all pretty excited.
One of the other things we did was historic paint analysis, and we found that the South Hall, the upper walls of the South Hall, were a kind of a brick dust color, and that's what you'll see in the space now.
We've introduced fire sprinklers, which is pretty obvious, but the whole building is now covered with fire sprinklers and a sophisticated smoke detection system. Heating and cooling, the building never had cooling. In fact, the whole building, the south, center, and north halls are now both heated and cooled.
The way the building's laid out, there's no real place to put those kind of modern equipment, and that space on the second floor where the pottery studio was is where we had to put the air conditioning. And the pottery studio has been relocated to the South Hall basement.
So this will be the pottery studio. It'll be accessed from the doorway from the street over there.
It really gave us the opportunity to completely redo the basement so that the basement really supports a first-class building structure above that lives, breathes, and does all the things we need it to do.
We have a modern facility in the sense of comfort and functionality, but within this historic core or shell.
We tried to design something that overall was going to help this building continue to be the vital center to Capitol Hill that it is and was and has been for over a century now. And I'm pretty confident it's going to continue to grow and prosper.
The market will be good for generations to come because of this.
Eastern Market is out in force this morning. Today is the real homecoming. You loved the Eastern Market, every historic foot of it. You fussed and debated about the market so long that the devil stepped in and just burned it down and took care of it.
Today we are here for the ribbon cutting ceremony of the grand reopening of the renovated Eastern Market.
I'm going to be surprised the minute they open the doors. I'm going to look in it and it's going to be blessed. We're going to be all of us like family, like brothers and sisters.
Crowd's great, everybody's happy, we're happy to see them, they're happy to see us. Everything's great.
Welcome home. Thank you very much. Nice to see you. This is a great day to look in the eyes of our merchants and our customers who just love this place and who love what it means to the city. This is one of the best days in the past 2.5 years. And I think what we've done is we've established that this market is going to be here forever. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't help it. Thank you. Hi, good morning.
This is so amazing because it's even better than it was before. My hopes for the future is that it continues to be the center of community activity.
We keep trying to make it better and better. That's what the neighborhood demands. And that's what we'll try to do.
We're really excited about getting back to the Eastern Market and kind of returning not only ourselves, but the whole community and everything kind of back to normal, back to the way it was.
My hat is off. All those folks who really worked hard, the people in this community, that says we will not let this die.
The beautiful people, the city, the wonderful mayor we have, the wonderful community, the wonderful neighbors we know this year, we all together, we're doing very good from now on, and we're looking forward to the future. That's all I know.